Open source was supposed to set us free. Free from corporations, free from control, free from it all. Anyone could read the code, anyone could change it. Anyone could build something better. And for a while, it worked. But today, some of the biggest open source projects in the world are funded, controlled, and influenced by the same companies they were supposed to replace. So what changed? And more importantly, did we even notice? Because if you look closely, open source didn't disappear, it didn't get shut down, it didn't even fail. Instead, it got absorbed. To understand this, we need to go back when open source actually meant something. Back to the early days of Unix, BSD, and the rise of free software. Projects like freebsd weren't built by corporations. They were built by people. Engineers, researchers, students, hackers. People who believed software should be transparent, shareable, free to improve. And when Linus Torvalds released Linux in '91, it changed everything. Suddenly, anyone could run a Unix-like system on their own hardware. No licensing fees, no vendor lock-in, just code. And then came the philosophy behind it, driven by people like Richard Stallman, who argued that software freedom wasn't just technical, it was ethical. By the 2000s, open source was everywhere: servers, web, infrastructure, even the internet itself. Companies started using it because it was cheaper, flexible, reliable. And projects like Linux didn't just survive, they dominated. Today, Linux powers most of the internet, the majority of cloud infrastructure, Android phones worldwide. Open source had won, or at least that's what it looked like. Because something strange started happening. The biggest contributors to open source weren't individuals anymore. They were corporations. Companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon started investing heavily in open source. At first, it seemed like a good thing. More funding, more developers, more stability. But with that funding came influence. Here's the part that most people don't realise. Open source projects don't need to be owned to be controlled. Control comes from who funds development, who employs maintainers, who decides the roadmap. And today, many of the people maintaining critical open source projects are paid by corporations. Even the Linux kernel itself receives the majority of its contributions from corporate-backed developers. That's not speculation, that's publicly documented. Then something happened that made a lot of people uneasy. In 2019, IBM acquired Red Hat for $34 billion. At the time, Red Hat was one of the biggest names in enterprise Linux, a company built entirely on open source. Fast forward to 2023. Red Hat has made a controversial decision. They restricted access to the source code of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Not completely closed, but no longer as openly available as before. This directly impacted downstream projects like CentOS. CentOS was a fantastic operating system, and it sparked a huge debate. Can something still be open source if access is controlled? At the same time, another shift was happening. Cloud providers, especially Amazon, were making billions running open source software. Databases, containers, infrastructure, tools, all built by communities. But here's the problem. cloud companies don't always contribute back proportionately. They take open source, package it, sell it as a service, and capture the value. This led to a new trend. Companies changing licenses to stop cloud providers from profiting. Not open source licenses anymore, but source available ones. This is where things get complicated. Because open source didn't die, it evolved. Some would say it was professionalized. Others would say it was captured. Today, the reality looks like this. Individuals still contribute, communities still exist, but the direction is often influenced by companies with billion-dollar incentives. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Without corporations, open source might not have survived at all. Think about it. Who funds full-time developers? Who pays for infrastructure? Who ensures long-term stability? Companies do. Even projects like freebsd benefit from corporate sponsorship and enterprise use. So the question isn't, are corporations killing open source? It's, is this the only way open source could scale? Because if you're a developer, a sysadmin, or just someone who cares about control, this matters. The software you rely on might not be as independent as you think. But at the same time, it's more powerful than ever. So no, open source isn't dead. It wasn't shut down. It wasn't destroyed. It was absorbed, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. And the strange part? It might be stronger because of it. Or this could be the beginning of something else entirely. What do you think? Is open source still about freedom, or has it become something else? Put the comments down below.